Come, let us explore the meditation mistakes you need to stop now. Together as a team, let us relaxingly recite. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, but not in the fun, tingly way. This includes humanity, even those who fancy themselves teachers of meditation. According to some, Gautama, who was known as the Buddha, was rather flexible, loving, rational, laid-back, lucid, egalitarian, cooperative, and kind. This is why many people are enthusiastic to emulate his example. Many people, that is, other than his foolish cousin, Devadatta. What was he like? Devadatta was a rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, cryptic, elitist, competitive, and cruel. And I'm going to take a moment to do a quick edit. Quick like a bunny. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. Okay. So let's go over here. Let's see if I can't do this. Can I go like this? No, I can't. Can I go like this? Yes, I can. All right, hot dog. Here we go. Let's hit copy. And let's return to the task at hand. Let's hit paste and see what happens. Cowabunga, look at that. Okay, now this is going to be entirely too small. I'm sorry, too big. So I'm going to see if this will work. All right. Hey, cowabunga, look at that. Thank you for your patience. Let's continue. Gautama's path could be described by many terms, including yin or spiritual matriarchy, and Devadatta's as yang or religious patriarchy. Statistically, the majority of meditation teachers unwittingly follow in the footsteps of the Buddha's foolish cousin. Therefore, it should come as little surprise, and we're going to make that a C. Therefore, it could come as little surprise that these individuals implore their students to actively focus and analyze. They might even use labels like analysis, contemplation, vipassana, samatha, concentration, focus, or even mindfulness, even though that final term is often woefully misapplied. The only way to practice either active focus, active analysis, or both is to rely upon discrete neural pathways such as those found in our medial prefrontal cortex or our dorsal lateral prefrontal cortex. Overuse of such regions could exhaust our prefrontal cortex, triggering our amygdala, the seat of anxiety and aggression. This is clearly antithetical to the peace, love, and joy that lure us into what we hope is the Buddha's path of meditation. Far better it is to practice mindfulness and meditation in reliance upon the two branches of our autonomic nervous system. for doing so could calm the anxiety and aggression of our amygdala, as well as excite the empathy of our anterior cingulate gyrus. With consistency, it could even cause our choices, utterances, and deeds to habitually flow from the right or effortless effort of love-centered spontaneity. This is why the Buddha taught mindfulness and meditation. Having completed our opening lesson, let's shift gears. Hey, Shivi, how you doing? It is Qui-Gon Jinn Tuesday evening. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I harnessed my autistic special interests, as well as my ADHD hyperfocus, to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Please relaxingly recite with me. Whatever comes, may all beings notice, relax, and flow. Whatever stays, may all beings notice, relax, and flow. Whatever goes, may all beings notice, relax, and flow. Let's see, I get to push the right button. Upon the tip of our left index finger, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the crown region of our head. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we have evolved to automatically access the sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This sympathetic nervous system has evolved to help us to notice in a special way, to help us notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. The most efficient way, therefore, to practice mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the verb noticing during each inhalation. And the most efficient way to practice meditation is to silently and mentally recite the verb relaxing during each exhalation. Remember, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist recitation, Buddhist meditation, or Buddhist philosophy, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. Together as a team, let us practice right now. All right, now let us chant and now let us relaxingly recite an excerpt from the vast expanse of the diamond-like mind, composed approximately 17 centuries ago by Prehe Vajra, translated from the Tibetan by Chogyal Nomkai Norbu, translated from the Italian by Adriano Clemente, adapted and amplified by this guy right here. Together. That which is the equality of all distinctions is erroneously conceived by saying it is punitive karma. Were it really under the power of unalterable karma, self-originated wisdom could not exist. That which is the equality of all distinctions is erroneously conceived by saying it is punitive karma. So in other words, all that we can see, all the ugliness, all the beauty, all the discord, all the harmony, all the pleasure, all the pain, all that is delicious, all that is disgusting, all that is fragrant, and all that is foul. If we say all those things have in common that they are, that their presence in our life is due to karma, or being punished somehow. That is a misconception, isn't it? It is, because if that was the case, then there would be no change. If karma was unalterable and things are the way they are, then we wouldn't be able to inhale. We would only be able to exhale. We wouldn't be able to exhale. We would only be able to inhale, but we can do both. And therefore, we have access with each exhalation to the wisdom of letting go. Were it really under the power of unalterable karma, self-originated wisdom could not exist. The Buddha didn't teach much about karma. Look at the Eightfold Path. It talks about the wisdom of letting go, love, going with the flow, mindfulness, and meditation. There's no talk about being punished because of negative actions or rewarded because of good actions. In fact, doing things because of fear of punishment or hope of reward is the opposite of acting from love. More than 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path pertains to loving kindness. Together, that which is the equality of all distinctions is erroneously conceived by saying it is punitive karma. Were it really under the power of karma, self-originating wisdom could not exist. Here we go. That which is the equality of all distinctions is That which is the equality of all distinctions is erroneously conceived by saying it is unalterable karma. Were it really under the power of karma, self-originated wisdom could not exist. That which is the equality of all distinctions is erroneously conceived by saying it is unalterable karma. Were it really under the power of fate, self-originated wisdom could not exist. So Shivi wrote, and let's explore what he wrote real quick. Going to temp button 8. I had a sometimes the bar eats you kind of a day. I'm currently struggling with dualities in my mind, replaying parts of my day over. I've come to realize how important everyday practice is. Well, I'm not glad you had a bad day. I am delighted that you're viscerally getting how important this practice is. And if, you know, and if you feel comfortable, the more specific you are in relating your day's events concisely, the more I may be able to do my part to ease your mind. But only if you feel comfortable. That which is the equality of all distinctions is erroneously conceived by saying it is unalterable karma. Were it really under the power of fate, self-originated wisdom could not exist. Upon the tip of our left middle finger, we could rest the great knuckle of our right middle finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the heart region of our chest. Every time we inhale, thanks to our sympathetic nervous system, we are wired to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception. You know, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like, including emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. During each exhalation, we are wired, thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system, divided between the lower third and the upper third of our spinal cord, to physically relax and mentally release. The most efficient way, therefore, to practice mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the verb noticing during each inhalation. Similarly, the most efficient way to practice meditation is to silently and mentally recite the verb relaxing during each exhalation. Before we do that, though, I'm going to go back over yonder. Excuse me. All right, let's meditate. And remember, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist recitation, Buddhist meditation, or Buddhist philosophy, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. All right, together let us relaxingly recite. The cause is the Vajra, as are the secondary conditions. Never having been born, it cannot be destroyed. And since it is the Bodhi essence that exists from the beginning, the ultimate dimension is not moved by effort of thought. The cause is the Vajra. Vajra literally translates as diamond and is used metaphorically to describe the diamond's strength of a mind well trained in awareness and release. So the cause of enlightenment is our capacity to practice mindfulness and meditation. But there are secondary conditions, our circumstances, our health, our relationships, our mind. These all influence, assist, or impede our body's ability to notice and release. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever circumstances or body or relationships or mind we noticed during our previous inhalation can feel as non-graspable as if it had never been born. They could feel as non-graspable as if they trying to find the right phrase. They could feel as non-graspable. They could feel birthless and deathless. Entering the deathless is a reference, not a reference, but a turn of phrase coined by the Buddha. And it's a metaphor. In a world where impermanence is overwhelming, we see the weather change in our circumstances. We see our bodies change as we age. Hair turning gray and falling out, and noses and ears continuing to grow unbecomingly. We see changes in our relationships, some improve and some degenerate. We see changes in our moods and our thoughts, ever fleeting. And this impermanence can be overwhelming, but as we relax into our exhalation, whatever impermanence we noticed during our previous inhalation could also feel non-graspable. Together, since it is the Bodhi essence that exists from the beginning, the ultimate dimension is not moved by the effort of thought. We cannot think our way to nirvana. We cannot believe our way to nirvana. But we can notice as we breathe in harmony with our sympathetic nervous system. We can relax during our exhalation in harmony with our parasympathetic nervous system. That is the key that unlocks the vault to transcendental wisdom. And a lot of people say, but that's so easy. Anyone can do it. Yes, anyone can do it easily and quickly. Together, the causes of the Vajra, as are the secondary conditions, never having been born, it cannot be destroyed. Since it is the Bodhi essence that exists from the beginning, the ultimate dimension is not moved by the effort of thought. The cause is the Vajra, as are the secondary conditions, never having been born, it cannot be destroyed. Since it is the Bodhi essence that exists from the beginning, the ultimate dimension is not moved by effort of thought. So Bodhi essence is just a poetic way of saying Tathagata or Buddha nature are the fact that there are facets of our central nervous system that facilitate enlightenment. Upon the tip of our left ring finger, we could rest the great knuckle of the base of our right ring finger, palms up in our lap. Let's see what I want to do. Here's this my right hand. Okay, so this is not mirror image. This is, I don't know how to describe it, but it's the opposite of mirror image. Anyhow. So playing thusly with our ring finger and with our ring fingers, we could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the navel region of our mid-abdomen. There are so many things we could notice. Spontaneously, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. We could notice the external or the internal, the physical or the mental, the pleasurable or the painful, the interesting or the boring, the glorious or the grotesque. The most efficient way to train in mindfulness, therefore, is to silently and mentally recite the verb noticing during each inhalation. The most efficient way to train in meditation is to silently and mentally recite the verb relaxing during each exhalation. Remember, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist recitation, Buddhist meditation, or Buddhist philosophy, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Let us relaxingly recite. Meditative stability of supreme quality, being real meditative stability, is beyond the tyranny of thought. Without applying thought or purifying in accordance with nature, through wisdom itself, for through wisdom itself, through let's try this. Let's try it again, beginning with the word without. Without applying thought to purifying in accordance with nature, for through itself wisdom springs forth. So the optimum meditative stability is not concentration. It's being beyond the tyranny of thought. Not the presence of thought, but the tyranny of the thought. What's the difference? Well, the presence of thought is like the idea of mind blanking, which is a repression, and it's antithetical to mindfulness. The way we transcend the tyranny of thought is by noticing it with the utmost of vulnerability as we breathe in and physically relaxing as we breathe out. That takes the charge out of it. When we hold our breath, it's very easy to give into impulse, but when we are relaxing, it's very difficult to give into impulse. For instance, a sneeze. A sneeze comes after several involuntary short breaths. If you ever want to repress a sneeze, I'm not sure why you would, but if you ever did, all you would have to do is breathe slowly, and it would undermine the process. Let's continue. Meditative stability of supreme quality, being real meditative stability, is beyond the tyranny of thought. Without applying thought or purifying in accordance with nature, for through itself wisdom springs forth. The problem is not the presence of thought. We don't have to find remedies or antidotes to thought. If we have a frightened thought, we don't have to think of a courageous thought. If we have an angry thought, we don't have to think of a loving thought. All we have to do is notice what's going on, whether it's interesting, boring, glorious, or grotesque, pleasurable, or painful. Notice what's going on as we breathe in. And let's think of it this way, as we relax into our exhalation, whatever thought occurred to us during our previous inhalation will feel less graspable. That is the wisdom of letting go. And so thought, good, bad, or neutral, can be the fodder, the kindling from which the flame of the wisdom of letting go burns. So we're being reminded that our job is not to repress thought. Our job is not to forcibly blank the mind. Our job is not to exhaust ourselves with chanting or with yogic practices that exhaust the mind. That's a trap. Our job is to be passive, to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly to whatever comes up, and then to physically relax and mentally release as we breathe out. One of the great tragedies in Tibet is that this original text on the practice of Ati Yoga has been ignored for so many centuries that it's now routinely contradicted, which is a great tragedy. Let's continue. Meditative stability of supreme quality, being real meditative stability, is beyond the tyranny of thought. Without applying thought or purifying in accordance with nature, through itself, wisdom springs forth. Meditative stability of supreme quality, being real meditative stability, is beyond the tyranny of thought. Without applying thought or purifying, in accordance with nature through itself, wisdom springs forth. Upon the tip of our left little finger, we could rest the great knuckle of our right little finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce in the bladder region of our lower abdomen. What is the essence of mindfulness? To silently and mentally recite noticing during our inhalation. What is the essence of meditation? To silently and mentally recite relaxing during our exhalation. You might say there's a difference between saying something and doing it. Yes, yes. However, by saying these things, we are allowing our cerebral cortex to cooperate more fully with our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 13 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.